One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
We also want to mention after our interview off camera, the president called Savannah Guthrie and spoke to her, offering words of support for her and her family as they search for their mother.
So that's just a little preview about what you're about to see. And I thought it very, very nice that NBC News would go ahead and say that. So those of you who may be knowing this or might have been following this story, Savannah Guthrie, I think she's on Today's Show early in the morning, and her mother is gone missing. And it's not a nice story whatsoever. Her pacemaker that her mom has stopped registering. They don't know. People are thinking the worst, but they haven't found a body, don't know what's going on. And behind the scenes, President Trump called Savannah Guthrie to wish her well. And you don't hear that much on the news. You don't hear that much where they talk and say nice things about him. I doubt President Trump actually said, I want you to say this. I think President Trump just does what President Trump does. Many times, often with celebrities who have had issues. Jennifer Hudson comes to mind. Nobody talks about it. This guy who's supposedly a racist let Jennifer Hudson stay in one of his apartments for as long as she needed after her family was murdered. Nobody talks about that. But in any event, this is what it's all about. So tonight, not sure how long this show will be, but we're going to start off with this interview with President Trump. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a spoiler alert here. I don't know if President Trump is playing coy, but he says some things that you might not sit well with you. There are a couple of things that, whoa, did he just say that? And you have to wonder, what was he saying on NBC just in case? Don't know. But he said it. And I think some people will just, I can't wait to see the chat, because I'm sure some of you guys are going to, what did he just say? So let me just give you a preview. I'm not going to be a spoiler alert. This interview was supposed to be put out during the Super Bowl. Obviously, NBC News wanted to do some promotion, so they did this, but they only did what amount to about 14 minutes. And they're like, oh, the rest we'll show you later. So there will be a part 2 to this that I will broadcast, provided nobody goes crazy and flips a switch or anything. But I'm not going to give up any more goodies. I'm going to let you guys hear for yourself. I'll cut in and I'll see in the chat what you guys are thinking. Because like I said, there are going to be times in this video where some of you might shake your head and wonder. Don't wonder too long. Just there's a game being played here, and we don't know what it is. So as you see here, I've got one of my bearskin hoodies on. I love this color. It's like a grayish. Works very well. And you see how these things fit really tight? Oh, I just love how these things feel. And it was cold as heck down here in South Florida. When I say cold, I'm talking about iguanas falling out of the trees cold. Big, giant, huge iguanas falling out of the trees. That's how cold it got. You may have seen some of the videos. I don't want to scare you right now because I'd have to show you some dinosaurs actually falling out of trees. It got down to a 19-degree feels like, you know what I mean? Temperature feels like. It didn't was 19 degrees, but with the wind coming off the water, it was cold. In fact, we had to put, I think I have it right here. Even little Midas and Lily, they had to bundle up. These aren't bearskins, but they had their own little sweaters that that's Midas's sweater that he put on. So I'm by now, you guys have probably heard of the bearskin hoodie. I hope so. Well, the smart people are grabbing theirs right now because when it's already freezing like it was, you want the gear that actually keeps you warm. Bearskin is running a 60% off deal right now. So you can finally upgrade that sad excuse for a winter hoodie that you've been suffering in. I wonder if Bearskin makes something for doggies. Because I mean, I want to get Midas something a little bit better than this, man. He needs something. These hoodies right here that I got on are built for some serious cold weather. It's got 340 GSM of bearskin fleece, 10 legit pockets everywhere, a muscular fit. I don't like taking it off because it makes me damn look good. And it even zips into a heavy storm rain jacket to turn into full winter waterproof armor. Whether you're into hiking, hunting, traveling, or just hate being cold, like when I would go out and take the dogs out, I'd have to get the stuff off the back of my neck. It'd be too cold. I just hate being cold. I lived in Connecticut, but my blood has obviously thinned here in South Florida. This will be the last hoodie you will ever need. You'll get free U.S. shipping, fast delivery, and you're finally kitted out properly for winter. That's a win-win. So do yourself a favor, text the word 36912, 36912 to lock in a 60% off discount. Again, text Barry to 36912. You'll get a link sent straight to your phone that you can check out later after the show if you're busy right now, which I hope you are. And when you shop with Bearskin, you're not just getting killer gear. You're also supporting the Fallen Outdoors and the Hope for the Warriors veterans programs. So don't wait until the next freeze comes along. Get it now. Don't wait until it's like sub 5 degrees again. Get a bearskin now while it's 60% off. Text Barry to 36912. All right, so I'm going to start the video and let's listen to what President Trump had to say to NBC tonight. I think it aired about 20 minutes ago.
Okay, let's drill down into the news today. That big change on immigration, 700 officers leaving Minneapolis. Did that come from you?
Yes, it did. But it didn't come from me because I just wanted to do it. We are waiting for them to release prisoners, give us the murderers that they're holding, and all of the bad people, drug dealers, all of the bad people. We allowed in our country, I say 25 million people with an open border policy for 4 years under Biden and that group, the Autopen group, I call them. We allowed to come into our country people the likes of which no country would accept. And we're getting them out, but we've gotten a lot of them out. So crime now in Minnesota, crime now in Minneapolis is down. Crime in all cities is down. And you know why it's down? It's down because of us. It's down in Chicago by 25%, despite the fact that we are always dealing with these people and they happen to be Democrats that don't know anything about crime prevention.
Mr. President, speaking of Minneapolis, what did you learn?
I learned that maybe we can use a little bit of a softer touch, but you still have to be tough. These are criminals. We're dealing with really hard criminals. But look, I've called the people. I've called the governor. I've called the mayor, spoke to them, had great conversations with them, and then I see them ranting and raving out there, literally as though a call wasn't made. We've done a great job everywhere.
After the shooting of Renee Good, you said ICE made some mistakes. What were the mistakes?
Well, look, I'm not happy with the two incidents. It's not, it's both of them, not one or the other. He was not an angel, and she was not an angel. You look at some tapes from back, but still, I'm not happy with what happened there. Nobody could be happy, and ICE wasn't happy either. But I'm going to always be with our great people of law enforcement, ICE, police. We have to back them. If we don't back them, we don't have a country.
You mentioned Renee Good and Alex Peretti's not being angels. Do you think any of that justified what happened to them, though?
No, I don't. It should have not happened. It was a very sad, to me, it was a very sad incident, two incidents. And, they mentioned the one now, they don't mention the other. Well, I think they were both sad. And who feels worse about it than anybody? The people of ICE. They're strong, tough people, and they have to be tough because we're dealing with hardened criminals.
Right.
We're dealing with people, jails have been emptied into our country from all over the world, from Venezuela, where we had great success, you will admit, but from Venezuela, from the Congo in Africa, from all over the world. Jails, the jail population was emptied into our country. If we don't have strong people, you're not getting them out, and we're getting them out. Remember this, again, I say it again and again, we have record low crime in the United States. Nobody's been able to say that for 125 years.
So I want to be clear, because it sounds like there is a shift in immigration enforcement here, that there's going to be a shift after Minneapolis. What should Americans expect going forward?
Well, one thing I say to my people, we do a good job, we don't get credit for it. I say they have to ask and they have to say please. When a city is going
to ask and who has
the
to say
mayor
please?
or the governor, I don't want to go and force ourselves into a city, even if their numbers are terrible.
Joe Rogan was one of your biggest.
So he quickly jumped off of that. I think that was a bad edit. They didn't want President Trump to say the rest what he was going to say. I mean, it was just a quick edit, very quickly. So I hope President Trump said, I need a copy of the tape, because that made it look like he was getting soft. When he said that a soft touch, I know some of you guys probably recoiled and went, wait a minute, no, we need to hit these people hard. We need to hit them often, keep going after them. And then the other thing, when he talked about the two people who got shot, and, he was like, it shouldn't have happened. It made him feel bad. I know that where NBC is trying to go here with this edit, they're trying to make it seem like he's second guessing Kristi Noem. I don't think that is at all the case, but I just wanted you to hear that, because I know some people are like, what do you mean soft touch? Oh no, that's not the Donald we know. That is not the guy we know. He wants to come in hard.
Endorsers in 2024. He said he understands the president's sort of plan to deport people here who are here illegally, but he also understands why critics compare ICE officers to the Gestapo asking people for their papers. What's your response to him?
Well, look, first of all, he's a great guy. We had a tremendous success before the election. I think it was his biggest interview ever, and over 300 million people. It was very good. She didn't want to do it, She decided not to do it because she's not capable. But I spoke to him 3 days ago. We had a great conversation. And all I'm doing, I have to keep.
Did he mention this to you? Did you guys talk about this, the ICE enforcement?
Yeah. Just had a good conversation. I think he's a great guy, and I think he likes me too.
Yeah.
And, liking me isn't important. What happens is that I think we do a phenomenal job, but I don't think we're good at public relations.
What does that mean? You've said that a couple times now. What do you mean by that?
We don't sell the great job that we're doing.
Okay.
Do you see that edit right there again? I don't know if you guys are used to watching videos enough so you can see where the cuts are, but right away, something President Trump was saying they didn't want people to hear, they cut right away. And so I can't wait to get my hands on the full video, because I'd like to compare it to what he actually said versus what they decided to cut to. And the whole thing with Joe Rogan and what's moving forward, and he just talked to Joe Rogan. They're trying to find the controversy, and he's going to dig even more so, trying to get controversy.
Let's talk about the midterms. You've recently suggested nationalizing elections. What do you mean by that?
And I didn't say national, I said there are some areas in our country that are extremely corrupt. They have very corrupt elections. Take a look at Detroit. Take a look at Philadelphia. Take a look at Atlanta. There are some areas that are unbelievably corrupt. I could give you plenty of more, too. I say that we cannot have corrupt elections. If we have to, if they don't straighten it out. As an example, voter ID. Why don't the Democrats want voter ID? You know who does want voter ID? Democrat voters want it, but Democrat politicians don't. Why don't they want it? Because they want to cheat on elections. Can you imagine if I were a politician and they asked me, do you want voter identification? And I said no. There's no way you could win that debate. But even the Democrats don't want voter ID. If they don't want voter ID, that means they want to cheat. We can't allow cheating in elections. Now, if we need to put in federal controls as opposed to state controls, remember this, they're really an agent. They're really accumulating the votes for who wins an election.
Now, you're getting a little bit of insight here, because even this morning when Caroline Leavitt was talking about, and this question keeps coming up, he's going to federalize elections. He's going to steal elections. He just dropped a little tidbit that you guys can begin researching. What he just said was, it's a federal election. You guys are just agents. You're independent agents that we use to count the ballots. And so he's giving you right now where this thing may be going. I don't know if this guy is smart enough to catch up to it, but he just said that. They're just agents. The local people, they just count, because they're independent agents.
If they can't do it honestly and it can't be done properly and timely, then something else has to happen.
Will you trust the results of the midterms if Republicans lose control of Congress?
Now, before he jumped to that question, I know they have limited time, but right then, my question to them would have been, so why do you think that they can't be trusted? And if they can't be trusted, what exactly are you going to do? Because, I'd like him to say, what are you going to do if these people aren't getting it done right? Are you going to send in troops? How are you going to make sure that the count is right? But no, he just jumps right away to, will you accept the results? Oh, man, this is getting old.
I will, if the elections are honest. Look, I want the last one that wants to complain. I just had a great election. They say one of the greatest elections, you will agree, ever. Won all 7 swing states, won 84% of the counties in America. That's why the map is all red. We just had a great election. I believe there was cheating. I think there was cheating.
Well, speaking of counties, what are you doing in Fulton County?
It was too big to rig.
Speaking of counties, what is happening in Fulton County?
I'm not doing anything, but the FBI went in because it's been under I guess, review for years. The cheating that took place in Fulton County and in that particular.
He won't answer. He won't ask the question. The media doesn't even want to talk about the cheating. They want to talk about, seizing the ballots. That's the problem, not the cheating. In fact, the people in Fulton County are now looking and shopping for a liberal judge to try and force Tulsi Gabbard to bring the ballots back. So we're going to see somewhat of a fight, because they're probably going to get a judge to say that. You got to bring everything back. No doubt they will probably get a judge to say that. Then we're going to see what exactly happens. The media doesn't want to even go into the cheating.
Nobody knows what's in the warrant.
What you're going to find out. Look, why would anybody be upset that they went in and they got the ballots, I guess, right? Again, they did this. That's been under review and under investigation for 4 years. And now they got a court order. They got a court order signed by
nobody knows what
a respected but liberal judge, signed a court order allowing them to go and pick them up. Well, you're going to know what the ballots say because they're right now inspecting the ballot. I'm not involved in it, but they are inspecting and checking the ballot.
Why is Tulsi Gabbard there?
I don't know, but a lot of the cheating comes from it's international cheating.
There you go. I don't know, wink, 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 but it's international cheating. And the guy here from NBC doesn't want any part of this. He just answered your question. Why is Tulsi? Not really sure, but there's a lot of international cheating. Now you know. Now it's been confirmed by the President of the United States. Tulsi Gabbard is in Fulton County because you cheated internationally. How do you know this? Well, there's this guy we got in jail that's been talking. Now, here's the interesting part. They will probably get a judge to say, you got to bring the ballots back. But that's not so fast, my friends, as Lee Corso used to say. They will go to an appellate court and they will say, you don't have one of these, do you? This isn't Tulsi Gabbard seizing the ballots. This isn't Kash Patel or Pam Bondi seizing the ballots. This was a grand jury. This is where it's going to become problematic. They're going to find some liberal judge who says, bring them back. And he doesn't overrule a judge who issued the warrant because of the grand jury. There's no way that they're going to be able to supersede a grand jury founded warrant. Not going to happen. This will get thrown out faster than you can blink. But the media, they won't cover it.
You have people, they say, from China trying to. Let me ask you, do you think China tries to influence our election?
We know that foreign governments try to influence a lot of things in this country.
Therefore, she's foreign governments.
But she's tweeted out some theories about Italians and satellites. I mean, do you believe that stuff?
No, I didn't cheat. I sometimes will retweet.
Yeah.
I'll retweet. But let me ask you this. If China or any of these countries are involved in our elections, that would bring her into it. And everybody knows it.
I didn't say they would get the ballots back. God, man, you people got to listen sometimes. I said they will get a judge to tell them they'll get the ballots back. They got to give it. This is going to be a legal fight that's going to go up to the appellate court. Come on, keep up here. I didn't say they're getting them back. I said they will get a judge to say they get them back. So I'm not wrong. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. I did not say they will get the ballots back. I just can't with you people sometimes.
Russia, they talked about Russia. It turned out to be a hoax. It was Hunter Biden. It wasn't Russia. Look, we have to have honest elections.
Yeah.
There should be nothing wrong with the fact that they went in, got ballots from a while ago, and they're going to look at them. And now they're going to find out the true winner of that state. Yeah. And you know what? If there was cheating, which there was, but if there was cheating, it should be found because we can't let it happen again.
Will you endorse in the 2028 presidential primary?
I hadn't even thought of it, but probably, yeah. I mean, I'd be inclined to. I have great people. We have a great bench. We have a lot of people, but yeah, I think so.
You've suggested that J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio would be a tough ticket to beat. Who should be at the top of that ticket?
Well, I don't want to get into this. We have 3 years to go. I don't want to, I have two people that are doing a great job. I don't want to have an argument with, I don't want to use the word fight. It wouldn't be a fight. But look, JD is fantastic and Marco is fantastic.
How are they? All right, so he's about to ask him a question. And when he asks him the question, you're going to know what question I'm talking about. And listen for the answer and tell me if you hear President Trump say, no, of course not. Tell me if you hear that answer. Well, I'm kind of giving it away. He's not going to say that, which is probably going to set these people off tomorrow.
Doing a great job. And I do think this. It's a great question. I think that's your most interesting question. Yeah. I would say one is slightly more diplomatic than the other. I think they're both of very high intelligence. I mean, they will do shows. They will do Joe Rogan as opposed to the opponent not doing it because they couldn't handle it. They will be able to do whatever they have to do. I think there's a difference in style. You can see the style yourself, but they're both very capable. I do think the combination of JD and Marco would be very hard to be beaten, I think. But you never know in politics, right? They say, in the age of Trump, you never know.
On January 21st, 2029, do you see any scenario where you are still president?
I don't know. It would be interesting. But
that's the question. Is there any way that you see yourself as being president on January 21st, 2089, or 20, whatever he said, 2029, which is going to make them just go crazy? Because he didn't say no. He didn't say, no, there's no way I could be president again. That's what they wanted him to say, and he didn't give it to them.
Wouldn't it be terrible if I agreed with, if I gave you the answer that you're looking for? It would make life so much less exciting, right? It would be so much less exciting. But I only do this for one reason: make America great again. And that's what we're doing. We're making America great again, greater than ever before. Our country is greater than ever before.
And during a tour of the Oval Office, we asked about tensions with Iran.
Should the supreme leader in Iran be worried right now?
I would say he should be very worried, yeah. He should be. As you know, they're negotiating with us.
I know they are, but the protesters have said, where are the Americans? You promised them we would have their back. Do we still have their back?
Well, we've had their back, and look, that country's a mess right now because of us. We went in, we wiped out their nuclear. If I didn't take out, we have peace in the Middle East. Yeah. If I didn't take out their nuclear, think of it, if we didn't take out that nuclear, we wouldn't have peace in the Middle East, because the Arab countries could have never done that. They were very, very afraid of Iran. They're not afraid of Iran anymore.
Are they trying to restart the nuclear program?
Well, I heard that they are, and if they do, and I let them know, if they do, we're going to send them right back and do their job again.
And we also asked about the Clintons' anticipated testimony to Congress over Jeffrey Epstein.
NBC News broke the story today. I don't know if you saw it, that the Democrats are already saying, if you bring President Bill Clinton and he has to testify, we're bringing President Trump. What do you say to that?
I think they might say that, but they've already brought me. See, I've been brought. They had me indicted many, many times. Many, many times.
And the president had some surprising thoughts about former President Bill Clinton.
It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me. He was the one that said very famously that you don't want to run against Trump, when there were 18 people. It was 18 people, including me, total. And he kept telling them, you don't want to run against Trump. Run against anyone. Don't run against Trump. And Hillary sort of laughed at him. He said, Hillary, you know it and I know it. Don't run against Trump. Yeah. And they ran against Trump. It didn't work out too well, did it? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. We thank you for your time. Thank you.
So when we get the full video tomorrow, that one, like I said, went about 15 minutes. And then we'll see how much stuff they actually cut out, how much stuff that they just decided they weren't going to show on television tonight. So it's going to be very interesting. It's funny, as that was going on, SV just hit me up. He says that tomorrow, 8:30 a.m., 8:30 in the morning is a national prayer breakfast. So they're probably going to televise that, and I'll cover that. And then Caroline Leavitt is doing a press conference at 1 p.m. She looks like she's going to be Thursdays from now on. And then tomorrow night, President Trump is scheduled to make an announcement from the South Court Auditorium at the White House. Don't know what that'll be. So we got 3 shows already on board for tomorrow. Excuse me. So that interview, I'm sure they're going to dice it up. It's going to be everywhere. But the one thing I think they're going to be talking about is the Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton thing. And I think they'll also be talking about the fact that he would not say no, that he might not be president on January 21st, 2029, which is definitely going to freak these people out. So I'm going to segue here because there's a couple of things I want to go over with you guys. I had a sheriff buddy of mine send me something, and this was just the most, I don't even know who posted this, who this person is, but somebody posted and said, here is some of what President Trump has done thus far. And it's extensive. And this is directly directed at the Panicans and Black Pillars. After you see this, you will never, ever, ever say again or listen to anybody who says Trump and the Trump administration haven't done anything. I want you to go through this with me. Trump ended the pandemic, which was supposed to last 10 years. Trump prevented the Great Reset, which was supposed to enslave all of mankind. Trump prevented the destruction of America, which was supposed to happen under Hillary Clinton. Trump arrested Epstein and ended his operation to sexually blackmail influential leaders. Not enough people talk about that. He's the guy that put him in jail. Trump ended mass censorship and restored free speech. Yep, check mark. Trump arrested multiple heads of global drug cartels and ended the world's greatest drug operations. Trump removed the USA from the WHO, effectively preventing their plan for world domination. Trump will abolish the United Nations. Now, this hasn't happened. Don't know if it's going to. Again, ending agenda for a one world government. Trump exposed the mind control of the news media and popularized the term fake news media, which will forever brand them. Speaking about the fake news media, we all should say a prayer today for the Washington Post. Jeff Bezos gutted the Washington Post today. Jeff Bezos fired nearly 33 or 34% of all the employees at the Washington Post. He fired the entire sports department. He fired people while they're over in Ukraine covering the war. Trump has decimated the news industry like nobody else ever before. You have to admit that. He has sued CBS. He has sued so many different people. He is destroying the fake news, or sometimes as they're known, the fourth estate. Trump exposed election fraud and is busy making elections around the world safe again, which we're going to talk about in depth. Trump exposed the deep state for the whole world and is busy eradicating it. He said obliterating it. Trump lost a worldwide war against child trafficking and human rights abuse. I read that one and I went, nobody talks about that. The media never brings that up. They never talk about children and the trafficking and how he has, so far 145,000 of the kids have been found. Why is that? Why do they never talk about that? It should make you think. Trump has brought faith, prayer, and the Bible back in public buildings and society. As I just mentioned, there is a prayer meeting tomorrow morning. Trump exposed the deep corruption of the CIA, FBI, and DOJ. Trump ended the brainwashing of children by abolishing the Department of Education. I don't think it's completely dissolved yet, but it's happening. Trump will restore quality education by offering the free American Academy to the youth. Trump defunded the LGBTQ and transformer agenda and is restoring healthy families in America. And I would put an asterisk to that and say, with RFK Jr. Trump is ending the poisoning of the food and restores healthy nutrition along with RFK Jr. Trump ended the mass invasion of newcomers, which was supposed to destroy America. True, border shut down. Trump ended the worldwide funding of the deep state evil activities through USAID and other means. Taking a breath because I can't believe people keep saying he's done nothing. Nothing's happening. There's no way you can look at this list and think otherwise. Maybe this one you didn't see happening, or that one, and so you think he did nothing. Pam Bondi didn't do anything. Enough with this stuff. Trump ended massive theft of trillions of American tax dollars. Trump is going to end taxes and will restore wealth to the American people. I don't know if he's going to be able to end all taxes. So let's put a circle around that one. Not yet. Let's continue. Trump ended the satanic rule in Hollywood and appointed Mel Gibson and Sylvester Stallone as his eyes in Hollywood. That's true. Trump empowered millions of patriots worldwide to oppose the deep state and the New World Order. Trump openly confronts the globalists at the WEF, which we just saw, and puts an end to their nefarious agendas. Trump ended the climate change scam, which was supposed to be the excuse for global tyranny. Trump ended the childhood vaccine mandates, along with RFK Jr., actually, and reduced the vaccines from 70 to 9. And there's 1,000 other things Trump did to end the rule of evil. That is why he's being attacked so violently with false accusations. And to me, it's very odd because so many of those attacks come from people who supposedly are Trump supporters. After reading that this morning, I looked at that and went, there is no way anybody ever again can say he's not doing anything. And then you have to sit back after reading something like that and go, he's 1 year in. 1 year. That's where we are right now. And I don't understand what some of these people, I don't know if you need clicks that bad. I couldn't even imagine. So the SAVE Act, which 80 to 90% of people absolutely support. Voter ID. And one of the problems with the SAVE Act is that people are accusing John Thune of not wanting to put it forward. People are saying different things about other, I don't know if it's Massey or some of these people. The whole idea right now with the SAVE Act being put out by its own is going to make people have to stand up. They're going to have to stand up at this point and say to the world, to the country, I do not want voter ID. They won't be able to hide. They're going to have this debate in public. It will be televised, and I can't wait to see who's got the insane cojones to stand up in front of America and say, I don't want voter ID. When they know full well 80 to 90% of America is like, yep, we got to have voter ID. So I don't know how you make that leap of complete faith, or not faith, but insanity, because you'll be committing political suicide. Even if you're a Democrat, the only people who don't want it are the loons. There are Democrats, as I showed you the chart yesterday. If you haven't seen the chart, let me know in the chat, not chat, the video, where they're starting this information is starting to come out. Now, the border is shut, all these things with Minnesota. We talked earlier this afternoon, alligator Alcatraz is still flying people out of here. All they're focusing right now on Minneapolis because it's just such an insane hellhole. But at this point, good people are actually standing up. I had posted something, let's see, was it yesterday or today? Let me see if I can find this, because they were trying to do something. Hold on, I should have had this ready. I didn't have it ready to go. I found this to be extremely interesting and what we should be doing and encouraging across the country. Here it is. Holy crap, hundreds of patriots stormed the Rockland County, New York, upstate New York, board meeting to oppose a bill making it sanctuary county for illegals and blocking cooperation with ICE. And these are all patriots. These are all patriots who came out and said, not here, not in my city, not in my county. We are not going to go for this. And as I watched this, I was just wondering to myself, why is it that many people aren't doing this? Why are people not out there in the street in their own counties doing something? I think I've got a video on this right here. Let me see if I can show this to you.
Now a bitter divide in Rockland County over a bill that hasn't even been written yet. It is a proposal to change the way Rockland County employees interact with immigration and customs enforcement. Naveen Dhaliwal reports hundreds showed up to a county legislator meeting to voice their opinions.
Tensions boiled over outside the Rockland County Legislative Building Tuesday night.
No hate, no fear.
As supporters of a bill called the Safety and Dignity for All Act made their voices known to protect immigrant communities.
I want people to know that they can be safe here, that law enforcement needs to be on the side of the people.
While others just feet apart demanded lawmakers reject the bill.
We have a sheriff's department that's working with ICE. We're deporting people, and we should be. That's what this county voted for.
Inside the county meeting, nearly 200 people packed the room and heard dozens of residents on their stance.
If you cannot regulate and stop ICE from harming our community using this bill, we will find another way.
The bill's sponsor, legislator Beth Davidson, says the law that is yet to be proposed would limit how sheriff's deputies and other county employees interact with ICE and other agencies. She says the shocking scenes from Minneapolis inspired the move.
The Safety and Dignity for All Act is intended to address those concerns while honoring state and federal judicial warrants and following the law.
But
why is it? I got to bring it out. What is it with white liberal women? Why is it that white liberal women are the ones at this point who just seem to have an affection for people who aren't supposed to be in the country? But luckily, a whole bunch of red people showed up.
Congressman Republican Mike Lawler, who Beth Davidson hopes to run against as a Democratic opponent, argues restrictions on cooperation with ICE could impede investigations into serious crime and fraud.
Legislators say discussions will continue in the weeks ahead, and the public will have more opportunities for input. In New City, Naveen.
See, that's what we need. So we need people, good people. I once said, things are going to change when good people stand up, when good people realize enough is enough. And so this was in a place called Rockland County, New York. I don't even know what the population is in Rockland County, New York. But they had enough people that came out and said, not here. In the cold, in the winter. Maybe you need to do that. Maybe you need to put together a coconut telegraph, borrowing that from Jimmy Buffett, and understand if there's a committee meeting, if there's a county meeting, you need to be there. You need to get numbers behind you and say, we need to go out here and tell them, not here, not going to happen. And then you have to look around your friends and your family and people, your coworkers, and say, either you do this or we could lose our country. And definitely you'll lose your town. These people in Rockland County, New York, wherever that is, not here. That ain't going to happen. And so I don't know if this woman was funded by Soros or what, but that just shows you to what depths this is going. They are prepared. They have their entire plan, what they're going to do. And I keep saying it, all the way down to dog catcher. I'm not making fun of Rockland County, New York. I'm just saying it sounds like a very small burg, a very small town in America, and they've got their claws into the liberal nut job ideology, and they were trying to move it forward there. And luckily, some people stood up and said, no, not going to happen here. Not going to do that. But you need to know if they're going to try and do that in your town. And then you got to mobilize and get people out. This is a very small local level item, and it made news because people came out and said, not here. And notice that the crazies were there, though. I got one for you here. This is from Anna Paulina Luna.
One thing that I'm not so happy to report is that the votes do not exist in the Senate among Republican senators to remove the filibuster. But that is why the standing filibuster is so important. And I know you do not have the votes currently to remove the filibuster on your own. But that is why the standing filibuster is so important. And you know.
Now, before she continues, that alone, that news that she's saying, no, we don't even have the votes to remove the filibuster. A lot of us have said, break the filibuster. They don't even have the votes for that. There are too many Republicans who want to see the filibuster stay in place. They're weak. They're compromised. They're pathetic. And now we're having to play games with our own side because they can't get shit done.
That. And so what I will say is that even though Schumer is trying to make it look like everyone that wants voter ID is racist, I'm sure you've seen the polling, Leader Thune, and you see that the national voter ID is actually a wildly bipartisan issue. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, people want it. And so this is one of the top issues in our country right now. Please restore the people's faith in our election process. It's incredibly important. But I also know that I talked to Speaker Johnson, and we will be passing what we can out of the House on the Save America Act. However,
No. We don't want you pass what you can. We'll see what we can get through. No, this is where every single one of you, no matter what state you're in, need to be deluging your reps and your senators. I don't want you to do pass what you can. We need the SAVE Act in its entirety. We need to make sure that there is a requirement for voter ID. How can this be anything that people are against when we know how many people are for it? So I don't blame her. She's in Congress. She's not in the Senate. But to say in a video, we'll see what we can pass, that's waving a white flag, honey. That's not going to make it for me. Probably not going to make it for you. I could probably look in the chat here. You're like, no. I saw this video, and she's out there doing a soft landing, a soft disclosure. We're not going to be able to do it. We'll pass what we can. That's not what we're asking for. That's not what we want. You get up there in Washington, I don't care if you got a claw fight kick, get it done. And if these people don't want to vote for it, instead of saying we don't have the votes, name the frickin' names. Tell us what Republican senators don't want voter ID. They'll be gone. It also means they should be looked at. If you don't want voter ID as a Republican, we need to look at your bank account. We need to see what you've done. Something doesn't make any sense. Why would any Republican, why would any single individual, you too, Mitch McConnell, even though you probably can't spell your name right now, why would any Republican not want this passed? There's only one reason, as far as I'm concerned. You're in on it. You're in on a grift. You're playing the Washington Generals to the Democrat Globetrotters. You're just there to lose. Just there to lose, but stay there for 30 or 40 years.
There are vehicles that we can attach this to. We understand that the position that you are in, and that there are many moderate Republican members who might not necessarily believe in this, to include all the Democrats in the Senate that literally just said they want mass amnesty and no voter ID, but it has to happen. And so I look forward to these continued discussions that you will be having. I know that the president is behind this. I know that the Speaker of the House is behind this, and I know many members of the Republican conference here in the House are behind this. So I hope that you take this as me not trying to publicly bully you, but simply being transparent with the American people. And I look forward to securing these wins for the American people.
These people love snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory. They don't know how to win. We keep electing people to go in there who don't know how to win. This is a layup. This is T-ball. This one isn't even hard. It's just sitting there. Hey, man, this one's going to get 80% of the votes. Just hit it. They won't. They won't do it. And this can't even be one of those, well, the Democrats will do it to us once they're in power. Do what to you? Newsflash. They won't be in power. That's the part they're not getting. This is a chance for you to stomp on the neck of the Democrats and basically ensure they won't be in power for decades. So you can't say they'll do it to us, because I hope they do it to you. Is that the problem? Are you not going to be able to get elected if people have to show ID? See, one of the things that people don't talk about that much is how many of the people on the right were elected falsely. There's no other reason. There is no other explanation for you not to want to do this. It doesn't make any sense. And so at this point, we have to believe, until shown otherwise, these people who won't vote for it are corrupt. And I can't get people to start giving us the names. Who won't vote for it? Eventually, they're going to have to stand up if it's brought to a debate and vote. We're going to have to see the names of the people on the right. I don't care if every single Democrat votes against it. You got the majority. This is a slam dunk. There's no reason why you can't pass this unless, of course, you have people who are as corrupt as the Democrats. And we need to know their names. There's no reason. Let me see what you guys say. Her and Tim Burchett are trying. Rhinos are just as bad as the Democrats. Yep. To vote or not to vote, that is the question. You are a citizen. 90% of our government is rotten. I can't even argue that. That's how bad it is. Kentucky is compromised. I believe that with Massey and McConnell. And what's the other one? Rand Paul. 10 years later, and see, this is the problem. And you're exactly right. People, we voted in Trump. We understood what he wanted to do. And we're right there at the line. And it's like, you won't do it. You seriously won't do this. Why not? Why are you taking that away from America? Why do you want to play this game with these Democrats when you have a chance to basically make them extinct as a party? Again, there can only be one reason. We need to know the names, and if they don't for it, they are gone. Well, maybe that's why they're not gone. Think about it that way. As long as nobody has to check any IDs, I'm going to be here because, these people on the left are going to help me out too. I'm going to make sure that we never have voter ID. Yeah, that's what's going on. They're working in cahoots with them. How much are you going to pay me to make sure I don't vote for voter ID? Thune and Kemp, anybody that doesn't believe some of these Republicans were installed, you're naive. They're actually working with the Dems. I have to believe it. There should be no this should be easy. What did SB just post here? Oh my goodness, please tell me. SB just posted that Kamala Harris is making a grand comeback for the Kamala HQ, the account which helped. Oh gosh. She's making a money grab. Will Tim Burchett give us the names? Tim Burchett won't have to give us the names. Here's why. If they bring it to a vote, we're going to see the names. If they bring this in the Senate and they get it on the floor and they actually take a vote, we are going to see the turncoats. God help us. People will go crazy. Gail says, I'll be contacting Josh Hawley's number. Exactly. Do it. And we thought Adam Shifty was a bad guy. Too many Republicans are corrupt. Absolutely. We're going to have to do something. If they don't want to do this, we're in big, big trouble. All right, so let me go to this next thing. And this is Kristi Noem and Todd Lyons, who we've had here on the show. They're doing an event down at the border today. And at the border today, they I don't know if it was much of a press conference, but she talked about what's going on. And then they gave out some awards to some of the ICE and Border Patrol people.
President Trump and Secretary Noem. Border Patrol sees it, ICE sees it, OFO and AMO. We never had a secretary that was out there on the front lines with us every day, willing to put herself out there to be seen, to actually know what we do every day. And that's what the amazing thing is. The partnership with the Border Patrol has been amazing. The fact that you all have secured the border so quickly lets us do our job in the interior. And I got to tell you that the men and women of ICE, ERO, Homeland Security Investigations, we value the partnership of having Border Patrol and OFO side by side with us out in the communities now, arresting those bad guys that are finally out there. Chief Paul said it best. We didn't need any new laws. We just had to have the opportunity to enforce the laws we've trained for our whole lives. And that's what we're doing right now. I always say that it was always hard to do law enforcement by executive order. We're not doing that anymore. The executive order we have now from the president and the secretary is go do your job. And that's what we're doing. And this last year has been remarkable results. But we still have about 1.5 million individuals in this country that have a final order of deportation. And more than 800 of those are serious, serious criminal actors. And the men and women of Border Patrol, the men and women of CBP and ICE are out there every day doing it. And one thing is for sure, Not only do the American people appreciate what we're doing, but all these moms and dads and angel families all around the United States that under the last administration had to suffer horrendous losses because of poor policies. But now with Secretary Noem and President Trump at the helm, it's not going to happen anymore. Again, thank you very much for being here.
Please welcome Commissioner of the United States Customs and Border Protection Agency, Rodney Scott.
Well, good morning. Well, first, I want to thank everybody for being here today. But I want to especially thank everybody that carries a badge in their wallet or pins it on their chest. But in this specific group, I also want to give a shout out to those of you that just wear that mission of protecting this country on your heart, regardless of the badge. Border security is a team sport, and we got to where we are today because of that effort. I want to acknowledge a few that are or are not here today at the federal level, but Department of War, Department of Justice, Department of State, Health and Human Services, and even Department of Interior have played an important role here today, and I'll touch on that a little bit. But we also couldn't do this without some of our state and local partners, and even the next county over from Santa Cruz. I thank them for being here today. But we're here today to celebrate you, but we're also here to celebrate the accomplishments that you made, but it was because of the amazing vision of the President of the United States and his leadership. I want to thank the Secretary for traveling down here today as well, and I think you'll understand how important that is in just a second. Specifically on one aspect of it, and that is that in less than a year, we have provided the most secure border in the history of the United States. And let me caveat that for you. That's not a numbers issue. I spent 5 years of my career patrolling right where you're sitting right now. I can tell you what this area was like, the dope loads that were coming through here, the multi-vehicle caravans that were coming through here. Part of border security isn't just the arrests, it's knowing what's going on. And we have a higher level of situational awareness today on the borders, knowing what's coming into our country than ever before. We came here, though, I want to talk why we're here. At least this is my perception of why we're here. We came down to the border because, unfortunately, the media likes chaos, and they like friction, and they like anything that arguments. They don't necessarily like to go present or show America a secure community. It's boring to them. So coming here today, we're forcing the media to come right to the border and see the most secure border that this country has ever had, because it's important to America that this story doesn't stop at the border. This story touches every American because border security touches every American. So border security, to the simplest steps, is just simply knowing and controlling who and what's coming into this country consistent with law. And we talk about how do we get here, I think it's very important that we touch on that. The efforts that every single one of the agents and personnel, military, wherever your background is, that played a huge role, and I'm not discounting that. But I want to highlight from my perspective how we got here. We had a President of the United States that stepped up and said, we're going to put America first. We have a President of the United States that had a vision. We had a President of the United States that spoke with authority. And even before he was inaugurated, as he was building out his team, he sent a very clear message. Border security is national security. It's going to be a priority going forward, and I don't care what the title behind your name is. If you work in the federal government, you're going to support it. And on day one, we took action on that. So those of you that don't know, on day one, we started building a high-performance, low-drag team from every agency that had any nexus with border security, and literally started figuring out how to implement the president's strategy. That's how we got here today. And as you've heard from some of the other speakers, no law changed. The big, beautiful bill just started rolling out. It was literally go do your job, and most importantly, I have your back. And for that, I thank the president, and I thank the leadership of DHS as well. The president simply understood and still understands that if we can't control, first off, know, and then control who and what enters our country, we have no national security. So I want to thank him for that. But we're not done. So yes, we're here because the border is super secure, but I also want you to know what that means. This border wall actually makes every single agent more effective. Every investment we in CBP make in infrastructure and technology across all of CBP lets the actual agent, the human being, do things that only the human being can do. Interview the people we catch. actually do the inspections, have conversations with people so that we're actually vetting them so we know who and what is coming into our home. That is having a snowball effect to where now we're doing interviews at the border that within minutes that information is being handed off to ICE so that we can find people that snuck into this country or got released by a corrupt prior administration, and we can go get them out of the communities and make this place safer. At the ports of entry, we're doing more inspections than ever before. We're seizing more fentanyl than ever before. Why? Because President Trump understood that chaos provides cover for criminals. And when we reduced the illegal immigration at the border and shut down that chaos, it allowed Border Patrol agents, Customs and Immigration Enforcement agents, DEA, every agency out there to focus on the real threats, the networks that keep bringing these threats to us. We've just begun. We've got a lot to go. We've got a lot to do, but we're building border wall at an unprecedented pace, as the chief mentioned. We're rolling out technology. And most of all, we're hiring more Border Patrol agents and more officers to make sure that we provide America the border security that they deserve. I just close out how I started. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, leadership within DHS. We're a long ways, but we are locking in this border security for generations to come before this administration is over. And every one of you in the audience plays an important role in that. Thank you.
Please welcome the 8th Secretary of United States Department of Homeland Security, the Honorable Kristi Noem.
Well, good morning. It is so wonderful and such an honor for me to get to come here and spend some time with all of you. And we're here to talk about how secure this border is and to celebrate that we have 1 year of a secure border and a secure United States of America. I want to say thank you to the gentlemen who all spoke before me and thank them for their leadership. To Paul and Rodney and Todd and Chief, just thank them for all that they've done to lead the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security in carrying out the mission that President Trump committed to fulfill for the people that live in our great country. I also want to thank Tom Homan for being the border czar. He was busy up in Minneapolis today and wasn't able to be here, but we thank him for his leadership as well. But most of all, we thank President Trump for the guts and the love of this country to do the right thing, to make sure that when he talked to the American people, he talked about the fact that what we had going on here in this country under the Biden administration was the greatest humanitarian crisis that we had ever seen in our history, and that it needed to be fixed. And the way that you fix it is you just enforce the law, that you go out there and say the laws need to be enforced and they need to be applied equally to every single person. And that Americans come first because they're the people who have built this country, and that they're the ones who are here working jobs and putting their kids through school and doing the right thing to make sure that our freedom and our liberties are secured. So I want to thank him for his leadership, for the fact that he told the American people what we needed. He said we needed a wall, and we have a wall, a big, beautiful wall that President Trump also wanted painted black, so that it would endure for a long period of time, that it would look like the strength and stamina that the American people have, and that it would be something that would continue to protect us for generations to come. But I also wanted to...
I got to interject there because I don't know if she was trying to use proper decorum, but there's another reason why he wanted it painted black. Because in that sun down there, whether they're in Texas or Arizona, in that hot sun, that black paint would feel like the top of a Skittle, like the top of a barbecue grill. It would be so hot to the touch that nobody would be able to climb up it. That's one of the big reasons why he painted it black. He turned the entire border into a huge Blackstone grill.
Come here today and thank all of you. I'm looking out in this group of individuals and I see a group of patriots, people who stepped up during difficult times and led us through challenges, but also are still here today making sure that we continue down the path of what we committed to the American people. I want to thank all the individuals I see from CBP, from ICE, the Coast Guard. I see our law enforcement partners, the Department of War, National Guard, all of our local sheriffs and law enforcement that have partnered with us, and then those individuals who kept the faith that came alongside of us and encouraged our law enforcement, stood beside them and supported them and their families. We know that no one can do their job with excellence unless their family's okay and they're taken care of and that things are right at home. And so those individuals in this community that supported our law enforcement through those times are incredibly important, and we're grateful for them. The high degree of talent and experience that we have here today is a testament to not just President Trump's commitment, but also to the people that have secured the border and have also worked every single day to make sure that America is safe again. In President Trump's first year back in office, we've delivered the most secure border in American history. And we did it with the immediate aftermath we were facing from that humanitarian crisis that was created from Joe Biden's open border policies. It is so quiet here now today that sometimes we even forget how bad it was just a little over a year ago. And the importance of the accomplishment that has happened over this last year cannot be forgotten. Hardworking Americans all along this southern border were devastated. They were trying to do their jobs, educate their kids, and protect the future when they were handed this humanitarian crisis and saw the horrors of what was happening when millions of people were crossing our border unvetted, when they were trespassing onto private property. We had crimes being committed. We saw women and children being trafficked, people dying, and crimes continued to be perpetuated as people were allowed to come into the country unvetted and unstopped. You know, yesterday I was in Eagle Pass, Texas, and I had the chance to tour the border, not just with our Border Patrol agents, but also with the Texas National Guard and the Texas Department of Public Safety. And we looked at some of the areas that were the hardest hit during the Biden border policies. In September of 2023, Eagle Pass saw an unprecedented crisis face them. In fact, they had to declare a state of emergency due to the rush of illegal aliens that were coming into their town and through their community to get into the United States. On one day, they saw over 10,000 people come through that area to get into the United States unvetted and illegally. In just a couple of days, it doubled the population of their town. And it caused a crisis not just for their medical care facilities, their businesses, and their families, but it absolutely crushed them and their economy. And their crime was rampant and overrun. And just last week, or a week or so ago, I got to spend some time in Brownsville, Texas, spent some time with farmers and ranchers. And we talked about what their lives were like just a little over a year and a half ago. How they saw trespassers come onto their property, cut their fences. Their livestock were loose, and sometimes they incurred death there as well. They had crimes, people breaking into their homes and their facilities. They were finding dead bodies on their ranches. In fact, we saw unprecedented death from those illegal migrants that were coming into our country because of the heat exhaustion, and they also were forced into the crush and the push to take advantage of those open border policies. Those ranchers were talking about how different it was for them now. The fact that their ranches are safe again, that they don't have drug cartels running drugs across their property and down their roads and endangering their children and their schools. Many of the schools in many of these communities had to put up barriers and protections and boulders and rocks just between the roads and their schools to keep their children safe so they could go in and out and get their education in a way that would protect their lives. When things like this happen, people are not just challenged with the crime, but they're challenged with the fact that their economy is hurt, their businesses are hurt, and also that these illegal migrants were being victimized each and every day. At worst, illegal aliens threatened the lives of American citizens with crime and violence and drugs, but they brought with them a recognition that the rule of law didn't matter in America anymore, that laws weren't going to be enforced, and it sent a message around the world that people could just come to America and no one was going to do anything about letting those dangerous individuals come in with terrorists, suspected terrorists and criminals that were allowed to come in with those illegal migrants. And while the left tries to tell us many times that it's somehow compassionate to allow that kind of chaos, it isn't. It was dangerous, not just on this side of the border, but on the Mexican side of the border as well. We saw many of those illegal migrants not be able to survive the brutal terrain. They didn't survive the river crossing. Those causes of death, of heat and water were dangerous, and the left behind so many bodies that in some counties along the border, They had to install migrant morgues just to pick up the dead bodies that were passing away on their way to try to get into the United States. In fact, during the Biden administration and those open border policies, we saw even the UN declare that the United States and Mexico border was the deadliest land route in the world. Countless people were sexually abused and trafficked over and over again and exploited. One story that I remember that impacted me so dramatically was a horrifying story of a father who paid a smuggler $1,000 to bring his wife and his 2-year-old daughter into the United States. Once they got over the border, those smugglers took that mom and daughter into a stash house and kidnapped them and held them hostage for a ransom and said that father would not get them back unless he paid another $23,000 to them, and said if he did not immediately pay, that they would do things to his daughter that he couldn't even imagine. That was happening on a daily basis because of that invasion. Over those 4 years of chaos and destruction and death, many of the left said that it was compassionate. They said it was compassionate to let millions of people come in unvetted and be subjected to murderers and smugglers and cartels and gang members. Was it compassionate to make Americans share their communities with criminals? Was it compassionate to encourage men and women and children to break the law and to put their lives at risk, knowing that they could be victimized along the way? And was it compassionate to demonize those federal law enforcement officers that took an oath to uphold the law and to keep Americans safe? You know, the left and Democrats dare to harass, threaten, and dox our officers, assault the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security and our federal law enforcement. And they try to say that enforcing our immigration laws and arresting and deporting illegal criminals and violent criminals is inhumane. Well, what about the victims of that illegal crimes? What about the flow of drugs that were coming over our border and killing our next generation of Americans? What about the Angel families who lost someone that they dearly love, that they'll never have back again and don't have a future with? They don't talk about the Laken Rileys, the Jocelyn Nungarys. They don't talk about the Rachel Morans. And they don't talk about the thousands of Americans that we've lost to drug overdoses and to poisonings. In fact, the flow over this border of illegal fentanyl has been cut in half since President Trump has been in office. And since he has secured this border and built this wall, 56% of the fentanyl has stopped coming into our country and saved millions of lives. The Democrats and the left say that compassion was that invasion, was that humanitarian crisis. But President Trump says that compassion is taking care of people. Joe Biden and his policies during those 4 years lost 450,000 children. Many times they placed them with sponsors that abused them, that trafficked them. The government paid people to take our children and to traffic them. Since President Trump's been in office, we've located 145,000 children that were lost, and we're not going to stop till we find every single one. Because of President Trump's leadership and his bold action, this country keeps breaking historic records. In fact, we have the lowest crime rate in this nation right now because of President Trump and his strength and securing our border that we've ever had in the history of this nation since we've been tracking crimes. The lowest murder rate that we've ever recorded in this country. And that's because we enforce the law and we hold criminals accountable for what they do to perpetuate violence against the American people. In fact, for the last 9 months, the Border Patrol has released 0 illegal aliens into the interior of the country. It's incredible, the work that they do every day. And that's what happens when you fight for law and order. Overall, Customs and Border Protection has recorded the lowest number of encounters in the agency's history in 2025. Daily encounters have fallen by 95% over the last year.
Well, you see, this is one of those, I don't know if it's a press conference or just an event, that you're going to have to watch over twice, because she's stating so much information that you're not going to hear in the media. I doubt most of the media even covered this. We know they haven't been talking about the kids. We know they're not talking about the crime rate. We know all of these things that they just won't even admit. And so, but I think the message is getting through. I don't think there could be a 75, 80, 90% rate of people who want the SAVE Act if people weren't seeing it for themselves, if they weren't seeing it in their hometowns that, hey, it's safer. We're not getting mugged. Cars aren't being stolen. So I think the message is getting through. So just keep doing what you're doing.
The daily average of apprehensions in the Biden years was over 5,100 per day. In the last year, it was less than 250. In addition to keeping the illegal aliens out, we're also protecting the American people from the deadly drugs that are coming in. And just in 2025, CBP seized over 600,000 pounds of illicit drugs. The death rate and the fentanyl deaths in this country have dropped in 1 year under President Trump. Because he secured the border, fentanyl deaths have gone down 30%. We can't wait to continue to keep working to save more American lives. We have to continue to keep ramping up our efforts and do all that we can to protect our children. And we're thankful for President Trump's vision to invest in technology, invest in people, and invest in the resources that we need to do our jobs. He did it in 1 year. You think about what this country has gone through over the previous 4 years and what a turnaround that we've seen because we have a president in the White House that puts the American people first. It's incredible. President Trump believed that we still have a country, and he believed that it was a country worth fighting for. Now we're hard at work to make sure it stays that way. And when the American people put President Trump in the White House, they said enough is enough. They chose him. They chose law and order. They voted to build the wall. They voted to send President Trump back to the White House. And it reminds me of John Adams. He said back in history, when they were building this country and founding this country, he said the very definition of a republic is a government of laws, not of men. We are a government of laws. We are a republic. And for 4 long years before President Trump, we saw what it was like when people put men above our laws. We saw how people were victimized and hurt and abused. And Americans didn't want to live like that anymore. The beauty of our republic is that our people have the freedom to choose. And when they elected President Trump, they chose differently. They chose someone who recognized that a country with no border is no country at all. A country that doesn't enforce its laws is a lawless country. We had never experienced the kind of chaos before in recent history that we saw during the Biden administration. And the American people rejected it. They rejected it and its lawlessness and chose to return to law and order. And with President Trump and all of you great law enforcement officers in front of me and those across the country that do their work every day, we've got a promise of a bright future and a promise of an amazing country for years to come. You have stood up and stood on the line to make sure that we have freedom and liberty for our children and our grandchildren for years to come. Thank you for the work that you do. I pray every day that God will continue to bless you, bless the work that you set your hands to and your families. They'll continue to bless this great country so that we would know that we are all Americans and we're all here. The rest of the world follows America because we are the ones that provide the hope and the future for what the entire world should be. So may God bless you, and thank you so much for being the great Americans that you are. Thank you.
So like the Secretary said, and the Commissioner as well, we're celebrating the monumental control that we've got over the border. But in doing that, our main purpose here is to thank you, the men and women of CBP and DHS that are getting the job done. We can provide you all the policies, the money, the protection, the coverage, but you have to go out there and deliver on it. And so I know that most of us say we don't need a thank you, we don't need an award, but it brings me great pleasure to be able to give an award. It gives me extreme pleasure to be able to do it in a sector that played such a huge part in my career and my development as a leader. And so with that, if I can have Agent Jack Gamblin step up. So today, Jack Gamblin is going to receive the Newton Azarack Award. I'm going to read to you why he's receiving that award. On June the 19th of 2024, Border Patrol Agent Jack Gamblin was critical in the apprehension of a Tucson homicide subject who shot at himself and other law enforcement officers in the Bryan Terry Station's area of operation. Responding to the area, Gamblin found the suspect vehicle speeding his direction while the suspect was firing at Agent Gamblin. Despite no cover and little to no concealment and at great risk to his personal safety, Agent Gamblin retrieved his service rifle, squared himself off to the threat, and returned fire, neutralizing the threat. BPA Gamblin's exceptional courage and action went above and beyond the call of duty, reflecting the highest credit upon himself and the United States Border Patrol. Agent Gamblin, if you can come over. Agent Fleming. And Agent Gundry. Agent Fleming and Agent Gundry will also be receiving the new NASDAQ award. On Thursday, February the 20th of 2025, Border Patrol agents Brandon Fleming and Bryce Gundry witnessed a devastating head-on collision that resulted in both vehicles being engulfed in flames. At tremendous personal risk to themselves, they selflessly dove into the wreckage, pulling the trapped civilians to safety and ultimately saving their lives. BPA Fleming's and BPA Gundry's actions, heroic actions, exemplify the core values of the United States Border Patrol and stand as a testament to their courage, selflessness, and unwavering commitment to protecting others. BPA Fleming and BPA Gundry went above and beyond the call of duty. Their bravery brought great credit upon themselves and the United States Border Patrol.
Should we move over here and take a picture?
Sorry. Thank you, sir.
Got it?
All right, that's going to conclude the ceremony for today. I know that some of you are going to stick around for some pictures afterwards, but outstanding work. Again, nothing brings me greater pleasure than coming back home. I was driving down here passing Rancho La Migra, and I'm like, man, this brings back some memories. Passing the I-19 checkpoint, got many loads with K9 Jarno up there, and then these hills. I remember when we had no wall down here, right? And I went to the checkpoint for about 6 months, and I come back down here, and I couldn't recognize the place anymore. I got lost, right? And so hopefully you all get lost as we continue to build the wall. Anyway, thank you very much, and again, we really appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing. Outstanding work. 2026, here we come.
You know, as I was watching that, I was hoping that they would turn the camera around so we could see what press were there, how many were there, who they were, and what they're saying. Because that was a 24-minute ceremony, and I didn't hear or see anything about it anywhere. They don't want people to know this. They just don't want anybody to know it. All right, so before we go, I got a couple things I want to show you. The Democrats are completely freaking out tonight about by Trump just saying he wants to federalize the elections.
I want to play something that former Trump White House strategist Steve Bannon said on an episode of his show yesterday, alleging once again that the 2020 election was stolen. Let's listen.
You're damn right. We're going to have ICE surround the polls come November. We're not going to sit here and allow you to steal the country again. And you can whine and cry and throw your toys out of the pram all you want, but we will never again allow an election to be stolen.
He makes it too easy for them. He makes it, it's like a layup. And of course, they're going to go screaming into the night. We're going to surround the polling stations with ICE. I wouldn't be afraid. I'd be fine with that. You'd probably be okay with that. Not, not the illegals.
That sort of speaks to what you were describing Republicans doing here. But, you know, respectfully, you are describing a problem as you see it. What are Democrats preparing to do about it?
Well, listen, we are going to be very active on the litigation front to make sure that they do not try to interfere with the lawful administration of elections. I know that state secretaries of state, state governors are also taking every step that they can. But, you know, the most powerful player here is the American people. And I will tell Steve Bannon right now, if he thinks that he can intimidate the American people out of showing up to vote, he is wrong. The American people who I know, who I represent in Rhode Island, including swing voters, by the way, are not going to be intimidated. People are frustrated with the economy. They do not like the authoritarian impulses of the Trump administration. They do not like how out of touch Donald Trump is. And if Steve Bannon thinks that having a bunch of masked agents outside of polling sites are going to stop people from showing up and exercising their constitutional right to vote, he underestimates the American people.
It's not the American people. It's you nuts. It's you nuts that have a problem. And one of the bigger nuts decided she wanted to post something as well.
Yesterday, President Trump suggested unconstitutionally federalizing Michigan's elections. He talked about sending federal agents in to take control away from local clerks. Let me be very clear. Elections will continue to be run at the state level in Michigan. Any attempt by the federal government to take over Michigan elections should be seen for what it is, an attempt to take away your constitutional right to vote. Now, it's not going to happen on my watch. Our nation has a long, proud history of running decentralized federal elections. It's a system that was designed by our founding fathers to protect us against those who would try to take and hold power illegitimately.
Didn't our founding fathers say we shouldn't have these people come across our border? I mean, I'm just saying, since you brought up the founding fathers, I would think you would understand that there's been laws in place to make sure that people who aren't supposed to be here aren't voting. So it's not just about taking over the federalizing the polls, but I'm pretty sure they didn't expect people who weren't supposed to be here to be voting.
Or by force. And because of that system, America remains the longest running representative democracy in the world. For 250 years, we have set a powerful example, and we must continue to follow it. In Michigan, more than 1,600 Republican, Democratic, and independent clerks, along with the Secretary of State, work together every election to make sure every citizen can vote and have their vote counted. We certify the accurate results no matter who wins, and we wish the winner good luck as they work to bring people together and lead us forward. That's what we do in Michigan, and that's how we must do things in America. This November, Michiganders will once again run another safe, secure election. We'll do our constitutional duty without interference, and we will honor the results, the will of the people. We'll move forward together, no matter who tries to stand in the way.
Good luck. So as you're seeing right now, these people are beginning to freak out. They're seeing that something is afoot, that President Trump has a plan. He understands where he wants to go, and he wants to make sure even if these idiot Republicans can't get their crap together, that we can have a verifiable election of Americans. There should be nothing wrong with the SAVE Act, but they're complaining about it. That alone should just tell everybody. But I can't wait to see them do the debate on the floor, because I would love to know what the objection is. It's not voter suppression. Excuse me. It's cheat suppression. It's actually somebody said in the chat earlier, it's voter protection. I want to know that my vote is going for the right person and I'm not competing against a whole bunch of people who aren't supposed to be in this country. Sorry, you got to go. Period. All right, so before I close, I have a different segment here. And I know this is not going to sit well with some people. I'm going to right now urge you, ask you to watch the Super Bowl this weekend. Now, before you scream at me, I want to explain why. You see, there are a lot of people, a lot of players in the league who don't follow what Roger Goodell and the league are doing. They don't want Bad Bunny. They don't want to see all the crap that's being done. They don't want to see Jay-Z running halftime and doing the different things. They don't want it. And I wanted to spend a couple minutes to prove it to you, because I think after you see these videos, you're going to say, I need to watch it because I need to support them. Because not enough people know this, what I'm going to show you. And so let me just get going, because I'm sure some of you are like, I'm not watching the Super Bowl. Ain't going to happen. Listen to this.
What was actually quite funny, Bev, was that...
Oops, sorry. I did the lead in before I got this part out. So let me backtrack, because this isn't the Super Bowl part. So I'm going to try to do it and go backwards. All right. This is a funny thing from Billie Eilish. This is a foreign reporter talking about what Billie Eilish did at the Grammys. You know, she said, oh, it's a stolen ground. This is hilarious.
Today, the tribe, the ancestral tribe who claim original ownership of the Los Angeles basin, including Billie Eilish's home, where we visited a bit earlier today, they came out today. They're called the Tongan people, and they're the Native Americans who were here before they claim anyone else. And they said, actually, Billie Eilish, we were here first, and your gaff sits on our land, and we've not heard a peep from you over the years. You're worth $50 million, and we've had nothing our way in terms of reparations. So it seems Billie Eilish and all her mates down at the Grammys, they seem to have opened a bit of a can of worms, Bev, that they may soon come to regret.
Oh dear, oh that was brilliant, Ben, well done. But tell us why you are there anyway. What are you there to do for us tomorrow?
Well, I'm up to a few bits on the schedule, but primarily tomorrow I'm going to be sitting down with Steve Hilton. Politicos in the UK may remember him as David Cameron's former director of strategy, as a keen Cameron ally. Anyway, long story short, in 2021 he became an American citizen. He's a Brit, he speaks with a very strong British accent, and now he is the leading candidate to be the next governor of California, believe it or not, according to the polls. So I'm sitting down...
Oh, let me stop there for a second. We've had Sheriff Chad Bianco on the show, and we were talking about getting Sheriff Bianco back on again, and then somebody sent me a link. Somebody sent me a link of Sheriff Bianco kneeling during the BLM riots. And I just went, oh no. So many people we've interviewed, after we've interviewed them, we found out stuff for like, I'm looking at him kneeling. So I'm going to hope that Steve Hilton can get this done.
With Steve Hilton, I'm going to be asking him about his strategy for California. Does he think the Americans will take to a Brit governing their beautiful state here on the west coast of America? Well, the polls suggest, as I said, as of December, he's leading the race. The primaries are in a couple of months and the election is in November. The sitting governor, of course, Gavin Newsom, or Gavin Newscum, as President Trump calls him, he cannot stay on anymore. His term limit has run out. Not only is Steve Hilton leading in the polls, he's also, as of the end of last year, the candidate with the most donations. He's got the biggest haul, something like $4 to $5 million, which exceeds all his other rivals. So you could see, maybe towards the end of this year, Bev, that Steve Hilton, who was a Brit, he's changed nationality now, or citizenship at least, to an American, he could be the next governor of California. Let us in, please, Billy. We are here.
So he did that part, and then he goes to Billie Eilish's house, you know, with the big walls and everything else.
Because this is stolen land, Billy, and we think we should be given access to your quite lovely $3 million mansion. Hello, Ben Leo from The Late Show Live on GB News. Do you remember when Billie Eilish said this at the Grammys?
No one is illegal on stolen land. Nice is all I want to say, sorry.
Well, Billie reckons there's no such thing as an illegal human because we're all on stolen land. So we're here in Billie's quite posh neighbourhood in Los Angeles. Let's go and see if she practiced what she preaches. Hopefully, if she sticks by her merits, she'll have no problem with me waltzing in, maybe making a cup of coffee or a tea. $3 million home. She's got some paddocks out the back with stables and horses. Maybe we can go for a horse ride. I'm sure she'd have no problem with it because she stood up on the stage at the Grammys, tens of thousands of people watching in the audience, millions around the world. The clip's gone viral. Here we go. Oh, nice little place. Bins are out. It's bin collection day. First of all, isn't that ironic? Massive gates keeping people out. I thought Billie didn't believe in borders. Well, according to the driveway, Billie does believe in borders.
Oh, this woman wasn't prepared for this. Yeah, the amount of crap she's getting, she's definitely not prepared for this.
She believes in massive gates keeping people out. A couple of cameras up there as well. The lights are on, so somebody must be home. Let us in, please, Billie. We are here because this is stolen land, Billie, and we think we should be given access to your quite lovely $3 million mansion. And such is Billie's concern for security and privacy. It's surrounded by pretty decent security fencing. Very nice indeed. Massive security hedges as well. She's taken a lot of concern and time to make sure she's got some privacy, as you'd expect. Oh, there we go. At the $3 million Los Angeles pad of Billie Eilish, she reckons nobody's illegal because we're all on stolen land anyway. But when it comes to her own house here in LA, I think she's got different ideas.
I saw that, and I'm like, I gotta play that tonight. People will get a kick out of that. What a phony. Just as all of them are. All right, so now let me go back to what I was saying about the Super Bowl, and I saw some of you guys in the chat. You're like, nope, not watching it. Yeah, you have your prerogative. You can do what you want, but I think what you're gonna see might give you pause for thought. Maybe you might say, yeah, I want to watch it to support these people. Not the bad bunnies, turn that off, but to support the people who are playing, who are wrapped up and are just, unfortunately tied into the crap that you see. But I just think as Christians, we may want to watch and support these people.
Your identity is not in your job. Our identity is in Christ. And when I learned that, and I spent more time in the Word from all the mentors I had in coaching that, helped me get into Bible studies and read the Word every day, it just, it took a really heavy load off, just knowing that.
And this is one of the coaches for the Seattle Seahawks, and he just got a new head coaching job somewhere too. So this is going to be his last game with the Seahawks before he takes his position elsewhere. But he's giving you, pretty much a little bit of a testimony.
I'm a child of God, and football is something that I do, but trying to be a good father and be a faithful husband is way more important than any of that.
True fulfillment is not on the other side of a good game. Even as I'm approaching a Super Bowl, don't try to go searching for fulfillment in this game and coming out with this win and winning a championship. I just remember before Christ, having the things of this world, having the fame, having the money, having everything that my heart desired at the time and just being so empty.
See, I don't think enough people understand that. They watch the Grammys, they see the idiocy that's going on, they see the satanic stuff, but on the other side, there are a bunch of players who are going through so much because they are a part of it. They've got the money, they've got the fame, they've got the endorsements, they're playing with the women, and then one day you wake up and say, this isn't it. I'm not that big of a deal. I'm a child of God. I need to change. And not enough of these stories get told. All the other stories, he beat up his wife, he slept with 7 women, he does drugs, he's betting, but nobody talks about the good guys in the NFL. And people turn away like, I'm not watching them. Well, maybe these people, these guys are reason enough to say, you know what? That guy's a good guy. I hope he has a great game. Let's watch that. Because if you're turning away from the entirety of the game, you are losing support for your Christian brothers. They need it. They need the support. They read X. They're all reading X. And it'd be so nice for people to say, brother, yeah, I'm with you. Good luck tomorrow. Stay healthy. Ignore all the stuff going around you.
Being so lost inside. And I just remember just, man, finding Christ and surrendering my life to Jesus, man, and really giving up my ways and turning to the Lord to pursue him and allow his spirit to guide me and transform me. That is when I really started to found like this joy and peace in my heart that is like no other. It didn't mean that life got easier. It didn't mean that my circumstances got easier. To be honest, they actually got a little bit harder, but it was different, man. Like even in the midst of that, I was able to find this joy and this peace that I cannot explain, man.
See, many people, you probably like them. There might be some new Christians in the audience here. You're like, I can't explain what I'm feeling, but I'm feeling something different. I'm feeling that the money doesn't matter. The women don't matter. The betting doesn't matter. The big house. I found something more. This is just my job. And I'm surrounded by all these people who are doing so many bad things, even on my team. I need to coalesce. I need to be amongst other believers. And the NFL is trying to do everything they possibly can to drive believers away. Put Big Bunny, whatever the hell his name is, on stage. He's going to wear a dress, and Jay-Z, and all the debauchery that they possibly can to keep you from supporting people like this. I'm not good with biblical passages, but I'm pretty sure there are some passages about supporting other Christians. I'm pretty sure there are some passages about supporting Christians who are in a bad place or surrounded by other people who are bad. With all the temptation of being an NFL player, and there's a lot of it. It's heartening. It feels good to hear these guys talk and go, man, can you imagine what they're around? Can you imagine what they see? I don't have to imagine. I saw it. And how easy it is. How so easy it is to turn. Hey, you want some of this? You want some of that? No. You want some of her? Want some of him? No. I'm married. I'm faithful. I have kids. Or I'm single, but I don't want to live this life. This is my job. It's not who I am. It's not my identity. The NFL tries to make you believe that this is their identity.
And like the Lord says, like he says, delight yourself in me and he will give us the desires of our heart. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all searching for. You know, we're searching for love. We're searching for joy. We're searching for peace, but we're searching in all the wrong places. And I have to be careful even approaching the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Do you know that the Super Bowl, like he just said, I have to be even careful this week. Do you know that they bring in plane loads? And it's one of the worst weekends of the year for trafficking. They bring in plane loads of women. I don't know about the kids, but probably that too, because it's a temptation that they just want complete debauchery. And even this guy who's a Christian, strong Christian, I got to be careful. There's temptation everywhere. I need the armor of God, not just to get on a field and have guys run full speed at me. I got to make sure that from now, they got there probably Monday, this entire week, everybody is throwing everything they possibly can at me. Want some of this, want some of that, want some of this. I just need to focus. I'll be home next week. But for these 7 days that I'm here in frickin' San Francisco, which is why the NFL put Bad Bunny on stage, they did this on purpose. They knew they were holding the Super Bowl in friggin' San Francisco, and I know what they want. They want this to be just the LGBTQ Super Bowl. They even changed the colors of the flag, of the poster. This is going to be a celebration of debauchery. They will probably have drag queens out there. So imagine you being a single Christian man. And like he said, I got to be careful. I can't let this stuff in my head.
Like, man, I don't start searching for these things in this game and people. No, man, like I have all of these things in Christ by delighting myself in the Lord, just as his word said.
Favorite Bible verse. Ooh.
All right. So this next guy, you guys probably don't know. This guy is a young kid. I think he's 23 or 24. He's only been in the league 2 years. He's the quarterback of the New England Patriots, and he may win the MVP of the league. He just came out of nowhere. He was I think it was a first round pick out of North Carolina. Strong Christian, has been saying it openly. He's got blessed talent. And somebody at a press conference said, "What's your favorite Bible verse?"
I think Proverbs 16:9. The heart of a man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. I think just what a verse that is, what a verse it alludes to. You can have all these plans in life of, hey, I want to do this, but it's really the Lord's doing the work about, leading in the right direction.
The Lord is there. Both these guys said, lead me through this. And today, as recently as today, Drake said this, because I guess it got out that he was talking about his Christianity.
Drake, you've been vocal about your faith this season. How have you leaned on the Lord throughout the year?
It's a constant in my life, knowing that one of the best things about a football team is that there's other brothers on the team that are followers of Christ, and be able to share thoughts and sit.
See, I bet you didn't know that. ESPN won't talk about that. There are other brothers on a team who follow Christ. They have to exist down here because the media doesn't want to hear that. And so he's got other players on the team. You see what I'm saying? All this stuff that they're going to be showing is to get you away. Don't watch this. Don't do it. What I'm saying is maybe we should watch it. Maybe we should look at what's his number? 10. Like, brother, I'm with you. And the coach from Seattle, we're praying for you, not to win a game. We're praying for your soul. And if you win the game, that works out too.
Down at chapel and listen to our chapel Mitch, talk before a game is just so powerful. And realizing the night before a game that we're in here spreading the word and listening to the word and knowing that that's bigger than football has just been such a thing for me to lean on and take my thoughts away from football and know that, man, this is my purpose, and this is why I'm here on this stage today, and be able to shine light on others and get them to follow Jesus Christ is what I'm here for, and it's what God put me here to do.
That's what God put me here to do. Not throw touchdowns, not to win Super Bowl rings. God put me here to lead men. God put me here to see anybody else that I want to lead to Christ. And so I think this weekend, this Sunday, God is testing them. God is testing you and me. Don't let these people win. When number 10 steps on the field, now forget what you're looking here. Bless that guy. And I'm not talking about a football game. Bless that guy for what you now know is his purpose, what he wants to do, what he wants to use his platform for. I find it amazing because I went to Catholic school and Catholic grammar school, and we always prayed before games and things of that nature. And then, you go to college and you do other things and you realize all of the trappings of success are there. And you take part in this stuff because you're not grounded in why you're really there. And it's so hard when you don't have a lot of people looking out for you. See, when I was in Catholic high school, the nuns would come out, the priests would come out, everybody you get all the blessings. And as you get a little bit older, there's always a party afterwards. There's always something there to tempt you after the game. You may be sequestered before the game as much as the team can, but then there's also hotel rooms and people find you in these hotel rooms, but it gets really, really bad after the game. Because then there's Super Bowl parties everywhere. And he's 23 or 24 years old. Can you imagine a 23 or 24-year-old millionaire who's a Christian, the attack he's going to get on the West Coast this weekend. Just think about it that way. You think we're attacking Trump. You think they're attacking you, and then the Grammys are doing all this and saying all these songs. How do you think Satan's going to be looking at these Christian players? So I'm just saying, I understand not wanting to support the NFL, but perhaps we should support young men like that and realize, look up Drake May on X. That's the quarterback's name. And say, hey, brother, we're with you. Keep your focus. Understand what you're there for. We're with you. And then if you choose, I mean, I hope you choose, turn off the halftime. Look at TPUSA's halftime. TPUSA, I believe, Kid Rock's playing. I forget who some of the other acts that are going to be playing with him. I don't even know where they're broadcasting it. I'll find out. We can watch that together. Or if I can do the Super Bowl, I'll do it. I have to do it on Rumble. I can never do it on YouTube. But just think about what you just saw. And some of you are probably like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know there were young guys that strong that, are taking their walk in the Lord, who came from certain situations where they've had to change their life. Everything's not like the cover of the book. There's stuff there as well that I just feel we need to support. Let's see here. Rooting for the Patriots. Yeah, that's who Drake May is, a quarterback. Yeah, just skip watching the halftime show. And not only the halftime, skip the pregame. Maybe you watch the national anthem and then other stuff happens, just look away. Especially if they do the black national anthem. Crazy. Thanks, Andy. I try to give you guys some insight into what's happening. And as I watched this week, as people were talking about the Super Bowl, and I was like, yeah, there's not what you think. There's an enemy out there. And the enemy wants you to feel that way, that you're defeated and you're not. Forget the NFL. But that doesn't mean, there's 32 teams and there's basically 100 guys per team. That's 3,200 different players. There's a bunch of Christians in there. And I just can't imagine, you being surrounded by some of the bad trappings that are going to be happening out there in Santa Clara. Somebody said Santa Clara. For most of us, it's San Francisco. And the NFL has bowed down. The NFL is going to do whatever they can to enhance that debauchery. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. If I can find a way to show it, I'll show it for some of you guys that want to watch the game, and then we'll turn over to TPUSA. All right, so I'm going to cut this because we got a lot to talk about tomorrow. From what I understand, there's 3 events. There's a prayer meeting at 8:30, which I will definitely cover. And then Caroline Levitt has a 1 o'clock press conference. Definitely got it. And then some sort of big announcement tomorrow night. So we got 3 shows. So I'm going to have to go to sleep, get my Wheaties up, and be ready to go. More than likely, the morning show, I won't say much because it's a different kind of thing. We can all pray together. I'm sure some of you guys need some prayer as well. All right, go live. Anyone recall Guthrie's in-laws having a stake with Dominion election software? I want to say it was a brother-in-law. Ooh, I did not know that. Wow. Brother Jay, Hellaberry, I support 100% voter ID. Absolutely. Hyanol Black. The reason I think a lot of patriots are not out in the streets is because we're not funded like the left lunatics. That is true. But there's no reason not to make sure that your own neighborhood, your own town, that you're not speaking out about it. Because, all right, SV just sent me the lineup on TPUSA. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Calvin, Congress is bought and paid for. Yeah, both sides. Mr. Pugs, please get Susan Kakinda of Promethean Action on. I will ask Ashley to reach out to the Promethean Action. For the longest time, I thought that was AI. But Gina, Barry, can Ashley get Monica Page on? She was on spot with Link Lauren today. She's my favorite. Yeah, Monica's a a frequent visitor here, so I'm sure she'll be back relatively soon. Her and Reagan Reese. Mary Callinsberry, how can I get a hold of you? I have a question about selling a property. How do I make sure you see it? One of the mods can get you the email address, and part of the new website and everything, we're going to try and make it easier for communications as well. Ball Girls, thank you. Hey, Neil, how you doing, brother? Great show. Thanks. R&D, this madness, please. They are protesting ICE on Long Island, too. Would watch the Super Bowl with you. Well, maybe we can do it. Well, I'll see. Bazul, Dems reflective of Satan desperation. Fisherman, Super Bowl to be televised worldwide for first time ever, but yeah, only on their network, so I have to be careful. And Macon Blankenship, I will watch the Macon Blankenship Super Bowl Sunday with my fanfare family if you'll be on Rumble. All right, I'm going to try and get it done and see what happens. By the way, I'm going to put up a poll tomorrow. You guys got to let me know, are there any parts of the Winter Olympics that you would want to take a look at? From what I understand, the Olympics start tomorrow or the day after. And so that might be very interesting if you guys want to see some of that. I know they're really tough too. SB just sent me, said that TPU show is Brantley Gilbert. Oh, that's one of my favorite. I love me some Brantley Gilbert. If you guys familiar with Brantley Gilbert, yeah, we should play some of his music on a jump over. Lee Bryce and a woman called Gabby Barrett. Gabby Barrett, Lee Bryce, and Brantley Gilbert, along with Kid Rock as of right now. I like Brantley Gilbert. He's kind of hardcore. Definitely kind of hardcore. All right, so we'll see you guys tomorrow at about 8:30. Thank you.
Thank you.